Hello everybody and welcome back. If you watched the first video, I'm going to be carrying on now from where I left off the last tutorial. Just so you can see how that finishes off, while I talk about some strategy and tactics on how to move your pawns around on the table. And maybe we'll see if we can see something different while I'm doing that. This is going to be a shorter video, that's my intention. I appreciate the last one was 51 minutes long, but in the end, we didn't finish the tutorial, did we? I haven't named this family, and that's when you know you're out of the tutorial and in the main game. And that'll probably happen when I move on to Pemos. Or to Solid, depending on who I'm going to use. So, as you might recall, we're working on a discovery for our future. Oh, I didn't cover this before. This shows you the previous generations, and this will build down the line, and eventually you'll have tabs which allow you to navigate it. But right now it's just Ket and Silk. You remember Ket and Silk? Oh, grand old Ket. And if we were to click on that, it tells us about the events that happened in their life, and it was just the discovery of the arch, really. But you know, that can be a bit of fun for you if you want to revisit what happened in the past and what went on. It's your game. Now, because we're an artisan now, we're looking out for a different croc. His name is Blunder. The crocodile eats the skilled tradesmen and artisans. They are nutritious but spicy. That's right. We eat better, and so we're spicy. Now, as you can see, we're exactly where we are. Mama, Courgette, is sitting back here on the plow. Dad is sitting here on the wheel and axle and hasn't moved yet. And the kids haven't been educated, and we only have these tokens. So, what are we going to do? Well, I think I'm going to move forward. I could go for this forge one and grab it, or I can go for the wheel and axle and grab it. I think I'm going to go for the forge, just because then I'd have an option to go for either. But also it throws me ahead, so I can catch this person if they fall back, but work with this other person here. Now, this is a strategic placement, okay? Courgette is now sitting behind these two. If they fall back, she'll catch them. Inu is sitting with this other person behind this person, so if she falls back, he'll catch him. People from behind can still move up and land next to these people, so they're not blocked. Now, sometimes you do want to block people, but generally you're only going to be able to block people if they have the token for that particular spot. And remember what I said about educating the kids from the previous video. We need to make sure these guys get tokens to learn stuff. I really am short of tokens that would be quite useful going up, but in the end, I don't want them to not do anything. Let's show you them playing. I won't feed them any tokens. Watch over their heads. You'll see little black shapes. That's them learning just a little bit about something while they play. Right, so here's the turn. And my tactics paid off. I caught these two from the wheel and axle with Courgette, and she made tokens with both of them. And the boys did think about things. So, you know, things haven't really changed. It's not a huge difference. I couldn't point to you and tell you this one's the one that's different, actually, without having gone back and looked at the video. But, they will slowly improve if you do nothing, if they have some skill. And that's better than nothing, I suppose. But you do, and another point of tactics is that you want both of these kids to generally be doing the same thing at the same time. If you treat them differently, they'll grow to hate each other. Kids that hate each other are a pain in the rear end. If Pemos hates Sala and you're playing Sala, he's going to keep messing around with your character, breaking your tokens, lying about your reputation, doing all kinds of stuff that messes up your play. If the kids love each other, if Pamos loves Saljit, and you're playing Sally, he'll help out. You'll get tokens from now and then because he's helped you find a work opportunity. He's helped you with something else. But if another thing is, family members that are dumbasses, if they're a dumbass, they're also going to be a burden. Because they'll get drunk and not pay the doctor's bill, and you'll have to pay. So if you have a very extended family, and you have a black sheep over here on number 7 who's nobody likes and hasn't been skilled because you've been neglecting them entirely, that might come back to bite you on the next round. But at the same time, you can having a lot of kids means that you have a lot of backup. Now, as I said, something I touched on before, Pamos or Sally are my only choices going ahead. And if one of them doesn't manage to get married and have any kids, I'm going to have to go back and play the other one. And if that one doesn't get married and get any kids, we're done. We'll have to start a whole new family. And it's slightly possible to go and have some illegitimate children, especially the higher rung you are. But don't count on it. And there are still things that can happen that will just kill the family. Especially if you're doing heroic things. If you choose poorly with heroism, you can kill mom, dad, kids. You're not as likely to starve like you were on the laborer track. That's a good thing, and it's nice to be not have to worry about my boys are going to starve tomorrow. It gets complicated. This is all very simple, but it's all very complex at the same time, and that's partly why I love the game. Right, so we need to make some moves. So, what do we have? I have 2 ship tokens, I have a wheel and axle, and I have some irrigation and brewing. And you can see there's nothing going on down here on the irrigation and brewing track. There's no beads out to be grabbed. The wheel and axle will come in handy. I can grab that bit right there. And I can... If I had a plow, that'd be kind of handy right now, but I don't have a plow. I have 2 shipping tokens. I can move up to that shipping spot with Parajet, and then we can use the next one to grab the other one. And now, another thing I could do, and I touched on this in the last video, is I can educate these kids with these old tokens that I have for irrigation and for brewing. But I expect those are going to become obsolete fairly soon. It may be worthwhile for me to educate, say, Pamose or Sally with these. Definitely, if I'm going to educate one, I should educate both. And it doesn't have to be the same thing. I could drop the ship token on Pamose and give Sally this crappy irrigation token, and they'd both just be as happy. Which is nice. And that can be a way of using up these tokens that you don't have much use for anymore. I'm hoping that some opportunities are going to show up on the labor track, though. So I'm going to use these tokens there. And that's the idea, is to spend them on that. But as you'll see, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Now, I'm going to let the kids play again, watch over their heads, and we'll see if they learn anything. I'm going to have a quick look here. C+, C minus, C, C+, C minus F, and A+. C, 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 C+, C minus, D+, C+. Okay, so, looks like they're learning stuff. And again, Karajet caught people in front of her to make tokens. It's great to strategically place yourself to do that, but also to position yourself for the future move to go and grab your beads. But let's cover these kids again. So, okay, C, 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 C+, C minus, D+, C+. C plus, C minus C, C plus, C minus F, A plus. You know, I really can't tell the difference. There might be a small difference in there, but it's going to be like it's going to be the difference between a C minus and a C, or a C and a C plus, and I couldn't tell you. I'd have to go back and actually freeze frame and look. I'm certain you can. You're on YouTube. Why not? Leave it in the comments if you like. So, here we are. We're ready to move ahead again. And, oh, I'm all set up for this forge token. Awesome. And I'm all set up for the ship token as expected. We're not getting much in the way of tokens for educating the kids, unfortunately. And I do kind of want to hold on to this forge token. I don't really want to let the kids play again, but I don't have much choice unless I'm going to use up options or give them just educations and stupid shit. So let's press the button. Oh, someone died. That's what that noise is, by the way. That's the croc's eating something. That also makes that noise if it eats a bead. So if a bead falls back there, the crocs have eaten it. Now, as you can see, I am now at the very back with Inu. And that means this token can't no longer be picked up by anybody, at least by being on this track. Maybe if I move down here, there'd be some people back here and I could be able to move back on the next turn. Do I want to do that? Not necessarily. Now, this is Forge and this is Forge. So, even though Inu's way at the back at the moment, I can jump him forward all the way up to here and grab that. And that means I can move Mama back. Mama will sit here and maybe make a ship token, which then I can use to grab the other half of the ship token. But also she can catch these two people in front of her, which gives us a couple bites at the apple of making tokens. There, we got our ship token. Excellent. And we got a wheel and axle, which will come in very handy very shortly. Again, I'm going to let the kids play. Right, so no one moved back, but I am still set up for grabbing my ship token, and I'll still be just as well for position to catch people. Do I want half a wheel and axle token? It's green. That means it's only worth 3 points. I could fall back and manufacture tokens with this person here, and still be positioned to catch this person, and this person might still fall back, where they might move forward. If I fall back and manufacture tokens with Ebony, Ebony might also make tokens as well. I mean, when you go back, it's a shared process, so she might not need them to fall back. She might jump ahead and grab this ship token. Weigh that option in your head. You are starving them of tokens if you don't fall back and manufacture tokens with them. And that means they have to fall back. And that means that the front becomes more and more your space. But as you can see, I'm kind of broke, which is a pain. I'm going to move Inu down to the lower track. Using the limit, I grab that blue bead. And you can see my ally is still here from previous. This ally will come in handy when we move around down here. And as we can see, there's a man way back here. And if he stays back there and things work out, we might be able to move back and grab this half bead no one else can get. Having the ability to move between tracks can be quite tactically useful. And that's why it can be good to have this like arch skill, for example. And looks like we learned something about irrigation while we were playing. That's pretty good. Okay. First thing I've actually noticed in this game. Right, so, and since he's learned a little bit about irrigation, why not? Let's give them some irrigation. Right. So, moving ahead. Oh, and because we're on this track, we can now see where the people are on this track, and we can see all the positions on this track. Even though I don't have tokens for arches, I can see where the arch spots are. Now, I'm going to send Dad back to our ally to manufacture tokens. And we just made an arch token, which might come in handy. And I'm going to send Mom. Do I want to fall back? I'll help these two guys make tokens if I fall back. I could stand still. That'll generate 1 point. I can catch either of these guys if they fall backwards. She might fall back as well, though. I could move forward to the wheel and axle, but there's nothing going on there. I could also move down to the lower track, but I don't really want to give up my visuals of what's going on in the artisan track. So I'm going to fall back. Mostly because I need the tokens, and thankfully she made some nice tokens. So, what we'll do is we will, let's see, you're a B in forging, so we'll give you a forging token. You're C plus, C. You're the backup kit, but I'm going to give you an irrigation token. There we go. Okay. Now, if my stated intention is still to go all the way back here and grab this, I have to move through this person here. And as you can see, there's this nice blue bead right here, which I can go and just grab right now. And there's two ways I can grab it. Well, yeah, there's two ways I can grab it. I can either just play a brewing token and grab it, or I could play the irrigation token, leapfrogging off my ally and grabbing it. Allies aren't the only non-aligned NPCs. All the NPCs are black, except for your allies and your enemies. Enemies are red and white, and who knows, we might see an enemy when we promote the kids. So, let's move Dad up to the brewing token, with the brewing token, since we got 3 of them. Keeping the irrigation token open means it gives us more options, basically. Mom is quite far back. And basically, when you're the last person in the rank, you'd want to avoid the Fear of Crocs, because it heavily reduces your skill of generating tokens. If I play the ingot, she won't move, she probably won't make any tokens. She might make a token, but she probably won't, and that won't be much use. So, we should move her forward. And we have a choice of shipping, which is this guy here, and that would allow us to catch this guy, or we have wheel and axle, which moves up to this guy and allows us to catch her. Generally, it's better to be more forward on the wheel, so I'm going to do that. As for the kids, I'm going to use this arch token just to make this arch skill just a bit better, maybe. Nope. And because I've educated one, I'm going to educate the other, so I'm going to give them a brewing token. Right. No one fell back to my wife, so we didn't make any extra tokens there, but you can see there's still this half brewing bead here, so we're going to move Dad back. Actually, I could totally grab that brewing bead with Mom. And yeah, we'll do that too. Now, as you see, I left that track, so now I don't have full intelligence on that track. I can only see spaces where I have tokens, and I can see the beads that are on there, but I can't see where people are. Problem with not being able to see where people are is that there might be 3 people in a spot you're trying to move into, and you won't know until you can't get in there. Now, it said bead lost because a bead was grabbed by somebody. That's okay, that happens. I mean, that's to be expected, as it were. Now, I'm gonna do 2 things here. As you can see, there's 2 beads up here in front, and I want them. I'm gonna play my irrigation token, and I'm gonna play the shipping token, even though that's not a shipping spot, because that's the last space, and that's the limit. So I'm gonna play the limit and grab it. And I'm going to let the boys play because I only have one token. I don't want to educate one and not the other one because they will resent it, basically. And because we're at the front, no one could make any tokens with us because we're at the front. Now, lovely golden bead, and I'm going to use my brewing token to grab it. And I'm going to send Mom back. Now look at this. We're at 88 of 90 points. I don't actually have to do anything next turn to be able to complete the discovery. If I stand still on both of my characters, they will each generate one point, and that will be added to the pool, and I will just simply have picked them up. Pretty great. Now, let's see what we have here. This is a little fuzzy. I think the blue bead is actually the first landable spot, but this blue bead here on the shipping token is not the first landable spot. You'd actually have to have a shipping token to grab that one, but I think the arch one is one I can grab using irrigation. And this will throw us into the discovery. Right! Customer must have thought Inu was his friend. He and his commander's long knife would saunter in when grumble instead of haggle. Poverty was rampant, but fortunately the city was at war. A good chance for being maimed or killed was preferable to certain starvation. The army swelled faster than corpses in the sun. Every volunteer wanted to be in charge, the commander told him. Inu knew contentment from the work beneath his hands. He told the commander, make up fancy positions and let them argue with each other about who gets what. Just order the top rank to the death and the rest will follow. A few months later, the officers bought Inu's most expensive work. Now, what is that? That's non-commissioned officers, folks. We're replacing wheel and axle with non-commissioned officers. Sergeants and such. And we pick up 10 tokens. Yeah, that's right. We went from broke to 10 tokens. And we're going to play for a Legend of Social Advancement. Mostly because I'm going to show in a later video the next tier up. Because, people want to see what the nobility looks like. So, where are we? Mom hasn't moved. I'm going to move Mom back just to manufacture tokens. Because we did a discovery, you can see NCO's, Pamos is a B, and Sally's is a C. And I have all these tokens to educate them with as well. So now we have A and B. And because I manufactured a token, I now have a shipping token. Even better. And again, all the other schmucks on the artisan track don't know anything about NCOs. They're F-rated, and they won't have any tokens for it, and if they had wheel and axle skills and tokens, those are invalidated. So we've got a competitive advantage on the artisan track. And as you can see, we picked up reasonable skill in NCOs by making the discovery. Now, continuing to grab beads off the lower track here, because irrigation is going to dry up soon enough anyway. That's maybe a pun. And ignore the fishmonger. Sorry about that. Right. Okay. Because we are at the back, but we are with somebody, we can manufacture tokens and just stay where we are. I'm going to do that. As you saw, we manufactured a token, but it went to the person we're standing with. We didn't actually get one ourselves. This person might fall back and manufacture tokens with us. That'll be convenient if they do so. So, what's going to be good for long-term goals? Why are you doing all this, in a word? You're doing this mostly because, in the end, as you play through the 3 ages, right now we're in the Copper Age, so you'll go to the Bronze Age, and then there's the Iron Age. After you finish the Iron Age, that's the end of this game. There might be another game coming down the line, the developer says that he'd like to, where you can take your family from this game and move them into the Middle Ages. And that will be fun when that happens. At the moment, it's probably a good while away, because it took the guy 2 years to make this one. Mind you, he was doing it pretty much on his own. I mean, he wrote, he produced, let's see here. Yeah, he did the game design, all the programming, and the writing. Keith Nimitz. And I can admire that. I mean, it's more than I can do. I think he's also the guy behind Mousechief, which is the people who produce and publish the game. I know he's got like an art director and an art person who did all the artwork, and it's got a definite look to it, doesn't it? It's like leather and ivory and copper and brass, and it's pretty neat looking. It's very distinctive. Admittedly, the historic clothing doesn't look very distinctive between the two genders. This tunic and sweater looks very much like something might be wearing currently. Meanwhile, this dress looks like a dress. I find it useful to keep an eye out for the fact that Dad's going to have his arms akimbo, he's going to be having his elbows pointed out like that, and he's wearing a hat. Mom has her arms folded and does not have a hat. Okay? Because playing the wrong token, you'll go, ah! And you can't go back. The save files continuously progress. So, let's get this finished off. I'm going to fall dead back. And we're going to move Mom forward. Okay. Now, whole beads are generally worth more than half beads, but it does depend on the grade. For example, a whole white bead is worth 4 points, but a half yellow bead is worth 5. Okay? So this is worth 3, this is worth 4. Keep that in mind. Okay, hitting the end of the generation, we can finally put in a name for the family. And what shall we name them? You know, they need a name. It's not just Inu, although, I mean, for a long time people didn't have second names, just as a fun thing. Second names is something that really kind of came out as people moved into a more modern age, really, and people started moving around. For a long time, you were just like Bill the farmer, or Bill by the hill. So, quite often, as an artisan, you'd have a trade name. So, as a tradesman, what are we good at? Well, we're good at NCOs, and we made that discovery. So we're going to be the sergeants. Now, I know how I spelt that, but, it's because it's a name. Okay. So, as you can see, the kids are now playable. But again, we might be able to buy some time and make some more tokens, and grab a few beads that are still out here. And we do want to do that. But the world is ending and the wheel's going to spin faster, so you gotta watch out being on the back. Typically, on most turns, the wheel will move 1 or 2 spaces, right? This irrigation token, for example, the space would disappear, and that's probably about as far the wheel is going to turn. once the end of the generation's coming up, and they become old McOldersons, this wheel's going to start moving like 5 steps. And then it might just do 1. And then it might do like 4. And I couldn't tell you exactly if there's a random generation going on there or if it's a pattern. I haven't noticed a pattern, other than the fact that it does definitely step up the speed of the wheel once this edge appears. So, as you can see, there are no beads to be grabbed left on the artisan track. Everything's still down here on the laborer track, and it's just 6 points available. And I'm going to need an arch token to be able to grab that one. This one's at the limit, so it's possible to grab that by using other tokens, but only if I'm positioned properly. You do want to move forward at this point because the wheel is ending. And also you are spending the kid's inheritance. What you spend right now won't be inheritable. See, like this kid and this kid get largely the same inheritance. Pamose is the older kid, so he gets the split the difference, as it were. So he gets 3 NCO tokens, and Sala gets 2 NCO tokens. And if I spend an NCO token, probably it'll be 2 and 2. And they each get 1 brewing token at the moment, because we have 2 brewing tokens. So, what are we going to do? Well, remember leapfrogging? We can do that. And we have these brewing tokens which aren't that handy. So, we're going to move Mom back down here. And then we're going to have Dad leap over him. And we're going to pick up that half bead and throw him way to the front. And I'm not going to make this kid, because quite frankly, it's too late. I don't really want to have another kid who's not going to know anything. Okay. Now, you can see that the artisan track is actually slightly ahead of the laborer track when it comes to the edge. There's a survival advantage in being up there because you can a slight distance more away from the crocks. This bead is now lost. It's behind us. There's no going back there. But we definitely want to get up here. But we don't know if this is full. We're going to find out if it's full by moving up. And I'm going to move Mom up, because if I move Dad up, he'll just sit in the same spot and won't move. Now, if I send Dad back to make tokens at the moment, he's going to end up here next to Mom, because there's... Actually, no, he's going to end up with these 2, because there's only 2 people here. I thought for a moment there was a third, but it's actually just this, like, decoration on the wheel. Sending Dad back to make tokens could be handy, because we need tokens. I'm going to send Mom up using the NCO token, and she's now here. And you can see that it wasn't full, but it was nearly so. And that's that for that. I'm going to actually have the kids make tokens. That's a thing you can totally do. Skilled kids, yeah, ingots is for parents, but a highly skilled child might produce 1 token. Now, they both have AA and NCO. They might have made a token, and he's got AA and Arch. He might have made a token for that. They're only going to make 1 token using a kid. Again, treating them the same is what's important there. Right, saw the wheel move, and it moved. This was way over here, and now it's way up here. It's like moved 3 spaces or something like that. So you gotta watch out for just dying. Now, the absolute front rank is absolutely full, unfortunately. But we've already grabbed our bead off of there, and you know what? We're done down there. So we're gonna move Dad up, and we're gonna move Mom up. Oh, crowded out. See, I occupied the 3rd spot on this spot, and that's it. There's no more room. But Mom moved to the space nearest. We'll have the kids try to make some tokens again. Oh, see? There you go. Good lad. Pamose made a forge token. And Sala made an NCO token. And as you can see, the split goes to Pamose because he's oldest. The Crocs just ate some folks. Now, you might remember from the last video, this bouncing around thing we do. I fall back 1. I send the wife forward 1. Now, this is how you can take advantage of having a lot of kids. If you can get each one of them with one reasonable skill, like up to A, you could have these 5 kids all making like 1 token every now and again. And they won't inherit much, but it can come in quite handy. Or let's say we lost our partner somewhere along the way, and that can totally happen. You can use a skilled kid to kind of keep mom or dad alive a bit longer to try to use their skills for other things. It can come in handy. Now, again, this guy's back here. If I move Karajet back to manufacture tokens, because this space is full, she's going to end up back here with him and probably die. I need to move Dad forward before I move her back so that she can occupy the space Dad was in. One last shot at your education. They're AAA. Awesome. See, he died. Now, because of where the wheel is, it's not going to move this one, because if we move 1 here, it's going to eat everybody. So there's no point in me trying to hang on longer. I'm going to move Dad back to Mom, have them make tokens together. I'm going to have Mom make tokens with Dad. This is nominally our inheritance. And the kids are like this. So, what do I have? AAA can go to Indy, but I just got to AAA, and it's going to usually take like 2 or 3 tokens to get to Indy. That's the absolute top out of the skill. I could spend one of these singleton tokens to improve a skill. But these also give me options for moving around when it comes time to pick wives. So I want to keep that available to me. The cheap tokens, the irrigation tokens, I suppose I could use those for a little quick burst of education. They won't be all that necessary, but now they might give us a little competitive advantage in the very short term on the next generation. Now, it's just time to move on. The parents are going to die. We're taking Pamose because he's the most educated child. Now, rights, yep, the right went wrong, and I got negative traits. I got humdrum, pessimist, insecure, or harsh. Well, nice. I'm gonna be humdrum. Woo! Now you can see the graves look different. That's because they were different classes. Ket and Selk were laborers. Inu and Karajet were artisans. They get better graves. They're not like in a heap. We got 3 wives potentially here. None of them have heart options. C, C-, and C+. Now, why is it that there's C, C-, and C+, when I had a B last time around? And some C's. Probably has to do with his GPA, to be honest. The better your GPA, it does seem to feed into the better the GPA will be for the average GPA of the wives that you get to choose from. So that's important. The tutorial is finished at this point, but I'm gonna see how we do with the wives, because who knows, maybe he'll fail, and that'll be interesting for you. Wife number 1 is sitting on a sailing token, I can't get there. Wife number 2 is sitting on a sailing token, I can't get there. But wife number 3 is sitting on an NCO token, I can get there. and that she's a C and has 4 tokens in her dowry. It's the middle choice, but it's also the one I can go for. If I fail, I'll get to try for some of the other ones. Promising young man, his pottery skills may one day attract wealthy merchants with an eye for art. Well, looks like we've been accepted. It's a marriage of practicality. No one loves each other, but we need kids. And because they don't love each other, they're like, ugh. God, I can barely stand you. But we do now have a boy, Pakar. Excellent. I'm going to totally just go and make some tokens right now. They don't love each other. They can't slingshot off of each other, but there's no position advantage that way. I don't have any allies. I don't have any enemies. This is just straight up gotta play the game as it's presented to me. So, because of that, I'm just going to leave off the video here. And if I see something interesting coming up, I'll make the next video today. Otherwise, it'll just have to wait until I've set up something for like moving up to nobility, or and I'll make another video when I move up to the elite class. And I'm going to make one for the elite class for each age, because the game actually plays differently for the elites in different ages. So that's that. If you have questions, drop them in the comments and I'll try to answer them, or make a video to address it. And if you're having trouble with the concepts introduced in this video and the last video, like I said, just drop me a line here on the YouTube. The forums on Steam are also handy, but you know, I'm here. I'll be happy to try to help. Hope you have a great day. I've been Rabowski, and have fun.